My next guest is going into enemy territory, taking on Jasmine Jasudavicius, UFC 289, June 10th. It's right around the corner. It's Miranda Maverick back here on the program, live from the car right now. Miranda, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No, of course. And I think I told you this last interview, love the car setup here because good lighting, it's quiet, it's a veteran move. I appreciate it.
Right. Definitely on purpose.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is this your first time going to Canada? I was trying to wonder that.
Yeah, it's my second time ever going out of the country, my first time in Canada, and my first time live in front of a full UFC crowd, non-COVID era.
Really? So this is your first fight with a crowd?
I had a crowd, but it was still like a COVID limited crowd when I fought.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, well, that's cool. And did you know anything about Vancouver before taking this fight? I was curious about that.
Nope, I still don't really know much about Vancouver.
Okay, well, you live in Colorado, kind of similar in terms of a lot of nice mountains and stuff, a lot of rain though, but because it's in June, it'll be a little bit nicer. Only know this because I live here, so, and I'm born and raised here, so it's I think you'll have a good time. Let's just put it about that. But let's talk about Jasmine here. Did you know much about her before her name came on the paper here, or was it someone you had to look up?
Actually, I watched her fight a couple times, and I'm the one that called her out for this fight. When I watched her fight Gabrielle or Gabriella, whatever it was, watched her have that fight, I kind of called her out on Twitter, and I was like, hey, would you like to dance sometime soon? And then I sent her a personal message, and I was like, hey, I've just been looking to fight for a while, been trying to find just about anybody, and if you'd like to fight, I'd love to as well. Let's get in contact with Mick and make it happen. She replied, we had some back and forth, super respectful and everything, and got it done.
Good. So it was like a very respectful call out that kind of worked out for everyone. That rarely happens in MMA. Were you a bit surprised that it all kind of came together that easily?
I was, especially considering she's not ranked. Like a lot of non-ranked fighters don't want to fight me because they might lose and it just doesn't help them. But then ranked fighters don't want to do it because it's really a threat to their ranking, if they lose against a lower ranked fighter. So I'm kind of in that weird space being in the number 15, number 14 range.
Okay. I gotcha. Now that you've had a chance to look her up, how do you feel like you match up against her stylistically?
I feel like striking wise, I'm way ahead of her. I feel like her grappling against the cage is really good. Her wall work's really good. And her wrestling and grappling as a whole is kind of untested, in my opinion. I've watched her fight several girls, but it's never really grapplers. And so I'll be the first real test, I think, for her wrestling and grappling. And I'm looking forward to it. I honestly think stylistically, this is a wonderful matchup for me. She's got a good international crowd behind her, especially with Canada. So I think it will help me in both the exposure side. And if I get this win, help me move up the totem pole. And my guess is I won't get any non-top 15 ranked fighters for a while.
And you mentioned it there, first time with the crowd, real crowd, right? Like we're not going to count the COVID stuff. And the fact that, like, I know Jasmine's not from Vancouver, she's from Ontario, but still they're going to be on her side. Do you like that? I mean, I'm sure you've had fights on the regional scene where you go into someone else's state, but to have a whole country kind of backing someone up, do you look forward to that opportunity?
I do. I've been the underdog multiple times. I almost enjoy it more when I'm like getting booed by a crowd. It just gives me that much more fuel to go in there and win. I don't really want mugged right after my fight or anything like I would be if I was in Brazil or something. But right. I feel like Canada's a good crowd. I'm looking forward to being there, and whether she's getting cheered more or not, it seems like I have a lot of fans there, and I hope to make more.
Training camp, Colorado. Who have you mainly had a chance to work with out there? Who've been the main training partners helping you get ready for this one?
Raquel Pennington has been my main training partner leading into this. A couple of smaller guys that are smaller on the regional scene, and then also Kai Bennett, who fights for Invicta. I'm hoping to have Deanna Bennett back out here, who I've fought twice. She just got done fighting for the Bellator title at 125. She has pretty good wall wrestling and wall work, so wanted to get her out here and work with her. But that's my main training partners. Of course, there's many girls out here in the UFC and the high pros.
Yeah, it really is the place to be for women's MMA. I mean, the bodies you get, and this is something we talked about, I think, in the last interview as well. Like, I mean, how good you are, but to be able to train with those fighters and have that kind of confirm that you're working with these high-level fighters, how much has the confidence gone up since you've been there? Because again, that you're working with some of the best out there.
So much, when I have rounds, like even Raquel says, she's like, you're better than you think you are. Like, get in there and believe it. And it's good. It's great that I'm almost the smaller person when I go into sparring. A lot of times I get to go with these bigger bodies with people who are ranked number 2, number 5 in the world. And, had Lauren Murphy for a while. I have Raquel to train with regularly, had Tisha, have a lot of the girls who are high level. JJ Aldrich is a great partner to have. Claire Guthrie there for a while, Mallory Martin. Like, there's just a lot of good girls out here that are a good group that really push each other on the daily.
That's good. And the elevation too, right, is always a help with the cardio and all that stuff too. I'm sure you notice that in your fights as well.
Yeah, I do. And it's like, it's not that I notice them, but I notice that others suffer way more than I do, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I
That's part
think
of it.
that's the benefit to it. I just never really have to worry about the elevation anymore.
Weight cut. I know you always make weight. We got lots of time. It seems like you got a lot of notice, full camp and everything, everything going according to plan. I guess it's, again, you never miss weight, so it's not even really an issue.
Yeah, I always stay ready for short notice. So I've been staying in shape since like February. But now I'm like already below 140, like staying that way for the last 4 weeks or so. Any day I could cut to 125 if I wanted to. So that's not an issue at all. I'm just trying to lean out. Everybody will kind of see that on my social media within the next week or two. And then I'll maintain the last 2 weeks or so until my cut.
I know your manager's coming out to the fights. Who else will be making the trip with you?
Yeah, so my manager, one of his media guys, which is pretty awesome. I'll actually have someone that can run a camera behind me. I always have
behind the scenes, like a vlog and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I wanted to do it a couple times ago, but teaching my dad how to run a video and boomerang stuff hasn't been the most successful. And my husband does decent, but I get so focused into what I'm doing that I'll forget to tell someone to do it. And just having someone as that be their job is a lot better. So that my husband will be coming with me if he gets his passport done in time and renewed. My dad and my stepmom will be there. Yeah, and then both my coaches, so Elliot Marshall and Justin Hatton, will be there as well.
That's awesome. So a lot of people coming out. And by the way, I like how you've separated, like, you have a media guy, because your husband's got to be your husband, right? You don't want him worry about him press and play and recording and all that. You want him to focus on, the personal side. I hear that from a lot of fighters. They like having their significant other there just to make things more homely, I guess, when they're there, right?
Well, that and like, I don't like telling people to go get me stuff and, go grab my clothes, go do this. Like, it's really weird when I have even my dad do that, or I'm like telling my coach here, help me rub my, Epsom salt and stuff all over me. I'm like, I'd just rather have my significant other there to help me while I'm dazed and delirious in the middle of a weight cut.
How's this fight playing out on June 10th? How do you see it going down?
Honestly, I'm ready to put it all together. I've said it before. I've been working on all levels of my game. We saw with Sabina Mazo, I've really been working on my high lows, working on my striking. With Shannon Young, I really showed off my wrestling game and how far that has come and just the grind to get there. Even though I didn't get a finish, I just wore her out the entire fight. And I hope this one's a mix of everything. I want to show my striking into takedowns, hopefully get either ground and pound or a knockout on the feet, honestly, is what I'd love to have happen. But I'm ready for anything. If a submission presents itself, we all know I'm going for that.
Did you happen to catch UFC 288 last weekend? And if so, what did you think of the main event?
I did not.
Okay, no worries.
To watch those. I've been busy and sleep is important.
You got it. I was going to say, you got a fight to worry about and all that stuff. How many hours of sleep do you get? I always ask fighters that. I'm always curious.
Oh, goodness. It just differs by the day, honestly. Like, I have so many things that wake me up when I'm in fight camp. I get a lot more sensitive to like light and sound, so it can be a stupid little bird chirping and I wake up. So on average, I get about 7 hours a night, or at least I try to. I'd like to get 9, but that hasn't been happening lately. I hope as I get closer to my fight, I either get more hours of sleep or I start taking naps in the middle of the day just so my body can recover in time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't fight, but I got 2 kids, so I definitely need some sleep here and there. Curious, the main event of your card has been switched up. It's now Irene Aldana and Amanda Nunes. I was curious how you think that fight plays out in the main event.
I think Irene has a good chance, honestly, against Nunes, but I'm still going to side with Nunes on this one. That kind of is a sore subject within my gym right now because Raquel's been on a 5-fight streak. She's already beat Irene Aldana, and her fight got canceled. That was supposed to be, I think, this coming weekend, May 20th. So she was pretty upset that she didn't get the call, but she'll be the backup fighter for that, and all will, play out for that. So she's still getting ready. She'll be out there with me as well. I forgot to mention that. So that'll be good.
Awesome. Well, that's good. So yeah, so you just mentioned it there, Raquel going to be backing you up. That's nice to have another teammate there, I'm sure, too, someone that you've been working with extensively.
Well, that, and just to have someone my size that I can move around with and get that work in. Like, all my coaches, all my corners are over 200 pounds, and it's always kind of amusing because people are like, you've got like the biggest corners out of any of these people. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
There's almost always somebody, on the UFC cards, and I'll be like, hey, can I borrow so-and-so, or can I use one of your corners over here for 5 minutes? And if we don't, it's fine. We know how to work. I do private lessons with my coaches all the time and get the warm-ups I need.
I know we talked about this last time. I'm going to bring it up again just to kind of remind people, like, do you feel like you are the dark horse? I feel like for whatever reason, you're not getting the matchups, like the big names. And I think, again, you look at some of your fights, especially that Maycee Barber fight, probably should have gone your way. I mean, maybe if you win that, we're not talking about this fight. We're talking about a different opponent. Do you have that mindset going into the fights, just knowing like, hey, just wait till you see what happens when I get, the big opponent. And then we're going to start talking about, getting into that contender spot soon.
For sure. I think a lot of people just underestimate me. A lot of people barely know who I am. And I do partly blame it on the Maycee thing. We see where she's at. She's already in the single digits of rankings. And I'm like, I should be there. That should be my name there. And I feel like there's a lot of people in the top 15 that I could easily match up against and beat. I'll be looking for names soon, talking to my managers and coaches and kind of looking at who to call out. If I call out anyone specifically, it might just be like, give me a top 15 matchup. I'm not sure yet. But we'll see. We'll get in there, win this one, and move from there. But it'll definitely be a top 15 opponent next, I think.
And I got to bring it up just because we just mentioned her name there. What did you think of Maycee Barber's win over Andrea Lee?
I thought it was very close. I think Andrea Lee should have won the fight. I think it was another robbery. I wish Maycee was a little less cocky about decisions that go her way, and would kind of admit to them and be like, hey, I've got a lot of work on. I'm glad I got the win, but definitely some moments where Andrea was winning that fight. But, we're all different people. We all have our different personas. And when I kind of pushed the blame on Maycee, everybody had some hate towards me. And I was like, it's not actually that I'm blaming Maycee. It's just the attitude that's involved with it. And you guys like entertainment anyway. So why are you having problem with me shit talking now? Like,
well, I honestly feel like that's a minority because most of the people, honestly, if you see any sort of, Maycee interview or anything, a lot of people bring up the fact that they felt like you won that fight. So, on the other side of the coin, I'd say there's probably more people that kind of feel your way, but I mean, it's the internet. You can post a photo of a cat and someone's going to have a problem with it, right?
That's true. But yeah, I think that Andrea probably won that fight. Either way, both of them would be lovely matches for me to have. I wish I could call out Maycee right after my fight. That's what I wanted to do, but she already has the matchup in July, I believe. Yeah. But either way, I would look forward to fighting Maycee by the end of the year if she would take it. But I
was going to say, sorry to interrupt there, rookie mistake on my end. Do you see a rematch happening at some point?
I've asked for it twice. One time it was a short notice and I could have taken it on a 3-week notice and she refused it and the whole fight got canceled. So I would love a rematch. I see it happening regardless of whether she wants it to or not in the future. But I think if she can at all avoid it, she will.
And, just sticking on the dark horse theme, one of your losses is against someone that, has done quite well since you two fought, and that is Erin Blanchfield. What was your reaction to her, dominating Jessica Andrade and potentially putting herself close to a title shot?
Yeah, you see, I don't have anything against Erin. I think she is very good. I think she belongs in the top 5 of the division, a potential contender for the title. However, I will say Jessica Andrade had a short notice. She was probably on the beach chilling, drinking from her win, her prior win, and went in there on very short notice. I doubt was in the best shape of her life or anything, and I think really underestimated Erin. And to be honest, I underestimated Erin when I went against her as well, and she came out there and just did a phenomenal job. I think that Jessica might be able to get it done if they ever fought again and she was really prepared for it. But Erin did a great job. I think that she's definitely a potential title holder in the future, in the next few years, and I'd love to fight her in the future.
And do you think we're seeing a changing in the guard? We talked about Erin, yourself. We've got obviously Manon Fiore as well, who picked up a big win. I know she's, I think, injured right now. And we have a new champion, Alexa Grasso, defeating Valentina. Do you think we are seeing a changing of the guard in the division?
I think a little bit. I honestly think Valentina will come back, hold the title again. But I think there's 5 or 6 of us that are new, young, up-and-comers that are really going to take the place in that top 10. I think the Caitlin Chukagians, the Andrea Lees, I think they're going to slowly start going down the ladder as we climb.
Excellent. Miranda, looking forward to it. UFC 289, June 10th. It's right around the corner. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, as always, I give you the last word.
Thank you very much. So all my sponsors are on the link tree in my bio on Instagram. I also have my own website there, my Patreon. You guys go check it out. Support me for my upcoming fight. I have a lot of new designs for t-shirts, for gloves, for all kinds of things, including autographed pictures out there that you guys can get ahead of my fight. And I look forward to seeing all my fans in Canada.